Hey, Brennan here. Welcome to the channel and thanks for tuning in. I got my first edition of my top 10 2025 rookies for you. These guys are going to be, I think, the 10 tight ends that have the best chance at hitting our dynasty rosters. These are going to be the 10 tight ends that I think you're going to be drafting in your rookie drafts in 2025. We're through week 8 of college football. We have enough film right now to get a good feel for these players. We got their 2023 film from last year. Some guys have emerged on this list that at the beginning of the season we didn't even think we'd be hearing their names. So it's been an exciting season of college football. Now, of course, there's 5, 6, 7 weeks left of college football playoffs that that we still have to take a look at film. But we have enough now to get a good idea. This is going to be my tight end show 1.0. I've done quarterback shows on this channel. I've done running backs as well as wide receivers, and I've so go back and take a look at them. All right, I'm going to, like my previous shows, like I just said, for the other 3 positions, we're going to tier these players in rounds. Okay, rounds 1, 2, 3, and 4. Tight ends drafted in rounds 5 and later for dynasty, we don't care about. They never hit our dynasty rosters. So I'm going to go through how I see the draft of these tight ends going in the NFL draft next year, and I'm going to give you some context rather of history to kind of put into context each round what we can expect. All right, now of course your format that you play in fantasy, as I talk about this, whether you're in a tight end premium league or not, is going to change depending on where they're going to be drafted in your rookie picks. But we're all looking for those tight ends to make our dynasty roster better than your competition, right? If you've got that feather in your cap of one of those top tight ends, and it's a hard position to hit in dynasty, as we know, but we're going to have fun with this none of the less. All right, so let's go through these. I'm not going to really get into skill sets of these players. I'm going to be doing rookie reports starting this week, actually, on all of these players, all the 2025 rookies that are going to be hitting your dynasty roster, man. So hit that subscribe button. You play dynasty, redraft, whatever. These shows, we're going to have so much rookie content for 2025 on this channel. It's going to be crazy. So please help me support the channel. Hit that subscribe button. All right. So first question I get all the time from my dashboard subscribers and my big board subscribers is, how does this class compare to the 2024 class, right, from last year and in 2023? And I'm going to kind of go through that a little bit as we go through each round. This class, I think, is going to produce 2 or 3 tight ends that we could legitimately say that it could be consistent producers on our dynasty roster. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get to it. All right, round 1. There's 2 guys that I think have the potential to hit round 1 draft capital. And before I talk about the players, in 2024, we had 1 tight end drafted. That was Brock Bowers. In 2023, we only had 1 tight end drafted in Dalton Kincaid. All right. So what are we going to have this year? I think there's a potential to have 1 definitely, but 2 possibly. The first guy I want to talk about is my tight end 1 right now, and that is Tyler Warren, 6'6", 257-pound tight end from Penn State. Penn State continues to churn out tight ends, and this guy is just killing it. I recently dropped a film review on this YouTube channel, so go check that out. His production is off the charts. I mean, if you didn't go back and see his USC game, I suggest you go take a look at that film I have on this channel, man. The guy is just dominant. He is a good blocker. He is a tackle busting machine. The guy has been so productive this year, 513 yards and 4 TDs through week 8 of college football. He is a beast, and the versatility that this guy has is unbelievable. I mean, he's playing Wildcat. He's hiking the ball to Drew Waller, and he's just all over the place. He works the slot. He's in the boundary. But, man, this guy is an offensive weapon, and he has just emerged, and he's tough and physical, and you need that from the tight end position. But he's got that yak ability. He's got the nimbleness. I think his athleticism is above average, and that's what you need in a tight end to hit our dynasty rosters, guys that can be nimble, working down the field after the catch and just getting open. I think he's a good route runner, too. So Tyler Warren right now is my tight end 1. So I like him. I feel like he might get day 1 draft capital. All right, so the other guy, Colston Loveland from Michigan, 6'5", 245 yards, 245 pounds. Not having the season we really expected. He goes from J.J. McCarthy throwing him the ball to a bunch of no-namers right now in Michigan. They just are really rebuilding that program. So, the production is down really because of his QB play, but he's got the best movement skills and quickness of a lot of the tight ends that we're going to talk about today. And I think he was projected before college football to be a draft, a first round draft potential player. And I still think that remains even with, the lack of production on the season through week 8. He has 344 yards, 2 touchdowns, but he's got strong hands, highly IQ player, knows how to just get open in the middle and in the boundary of the fields. And I think he's just a mismatch. He's a matchup advantage for an offensive coordinator that wants to get a chess piece in an NFL offense and use him all over the place. He's got really good movement skills, quickness to get open, and really has shown the yak yards and the physical toughness at the end of plays. So Colston Loveland and Tyler Warren are the 2 players that I think could potentially get round 1 draft capital in the 2025 draft. All right, which leads to, if you're in a tight end premium league, maybe a round 1 in your rookie draft. If you don't play tight end premium, you're probably going to fade these players until the 2nd round. All right, let's go to round 2. All right, let me give you a little history lesson with all of this, okay? In the 2024 draft, we only had 1 player drafted in round 2, and that was Ben Sinnott from the Washington Commanders. We were all excited about him coming from Kansas State. Really hasn't produced yet. Again, these tight ends are hard to hit. As good as they look in college, they really, I think, in the NFL have to find the right system, the right coaching, and then just find themselves in that perfect landing spot where they can be utilized with a lot of skill around them. All right, Ben Sinnott really has not done much at all for the Washington Commanders. We're going to have to wait on him. In 2023, we had 5 tight ends taken in round 2 in 2023. The only 2 that are really, I think, making a fantasy impact right now is Sam Laporta and Michael Mayer. Michael Mayer he's banged up right now, and of course you got Bowers in front of him, so he may be a faded asset. But again, these are tough. 5 tight ends drafted back in 2023, and Sam Laporta looks like the only hit that we're going to have. So I've got 3 players that I think get round 2 draft capital in the 2025 draft. All right, Harold Fannin Jr., 6'4", a little undersized at 230 pounds. Man, this guy has emerged. His PFF grades, are off the charts. But again, his versatility is his calling card. If you have not watched this Bowling Green tight end, you have to. Just this week, he had another monster game, but he had monster games against Texas A&M, Penn State, and I have a film breakdown on this channel. So go take a look at Harold Fannin Jr. I think he's ranked after week 8, the 3rd leading receiver in all of college football. I think I'm right on that, but he's up there, man. He's got 873 yards and 5 touchdowns. I mean, these are wide receiver numbers that we're talking about here. Harold Fannin Jr. is an exciting tight end prospect. I can't wait to see where he is drafted in the NFL draft. So he comes in at my top, round 2, kind of ranked number 3. Mason Taylor from LSU, 6'5", 255 pounds. He's one of my favorite tight ends in the draft. Now, he's Jason Taylor's son, so he's got the bloodlines that we like, but he has been playing really well this year, all right, through, has only 348 yards and 1 TD, but I'll tell you, Nussmeier's throwing the ball all over the place, and Mason Taylor is consistently contributing week in and week out. Doesn't have the gaudy stats that we like, but man, I'll tell you, this guy is a smooth mover with some fantastic body control, solid hands, really tough at the catch point. And again, like I mentioned, he's got those Jason Taylor bloodlines. Keep your eye on Mason Taylor. He could be a early day 2, round 2 tight end selected in the draft. The other guy that I think could get round 2 draft capital is Jake Briningstool, Clemson tight end. All right, 327 yards on the season, 4 TDs. He is a 4-year player. Big frame, big catch radius. I like his burst off the line. I think he's a strong route runner. He's not the best guy with yards after the catch, but if you're looking for a dependable, big physical, he's 6'6", 240 pounds. He's got the size. Good blocker, like I said. If I hadn't said that, he is a good blocker as well. So a good all-around utilized tight end. But he plays in the slot 56% of the times at Clemson. So he's got that outside. That's what we want in fantasy tight ends too. We don't really care so much about the blocking. We want the guy with the strong hands who can get us those yak yards and touchdowns. I think Jake Briningstool is a top 5 tight end in the class. All right, let's go to round 3. Little history lesson again. In 2024, there was only 1 player taken, and that was Tip Ryman. Not hitting our dynasty rosters, so no need to really talk about him. In 2023, the only guy drafted, there were 3 tight ends taken in 2023 in round 3. Tucker Kraft looks like the only guy that's going to hit, at least right now, in our dynasty rosters after 2 years. All right. So I've got 3 guys that I believe are going to fit round 3. Oronde Gadsden, Syracuse tight end, 6'5", 236 pounds. I think he's going to be more of a big slot in the NFL. Does that translate to our dynasty rosters? I'm not sure. These light tight ends sometimes have a difficult time transitioning to the NFL. But man, this guy has been really productive. 433 yards, 3 tight ends. So he has 2023 was a down year for him that got him, off the radar a little bit with injuries. But man, he is making a comeback. He is a 4-year senior. But man, he has got the elusiveness. He's got the good hands. He's got really the entire package. Really good athleticism and agility when you watch him in a route runner. Does some really great boundary catches so far this year. And has just been a really productive player for Syracuse. So let's see what happens. All right. But I think he is, an intriguing set of hands and an athlete that the NFL might take a swing in round 3. All right. Terrace Ferguson, 6'5", 255-pound tight end from Oregon. He's a long strider, man. This guy eats up cushions against defenders. I'm going to be putting a video out on him. I really like Terrence Ferguson. He's kind of like a guy nobody really talks about, but man, he is his body control around the catch point. I've seen him make some amazing catches the last 2 years in the end zone. And on the season, he has 321 yards, no TDs this year so far, but his boundary awareness, his body control, like I said, his hands, I think he's an overall solid tight end. Does he hit our dynasty rosters? Is he going to be a consistent contributor? I'm not sure, but I think he gets round 3 draft capital in the NFL draft. Now, a guy nobody was talking about at the beginning of the season who has really emerged, Texas tight end Gunnar Helm, 6'5", 250 pounds. He's had to wait his turn, right? We've had all these tight ends. Last year it was Ja'Tavion Sanders, and as good as he was last year for Texas, he's on the Panthers and he's not making any noise in the NFL, man. So it's like these tight ends are hard to hit from a dynasty roster standpoint. But man, this guy's got solid hands. Scouting report notes here on my big board. Great body control, just very well to the ball. I like how he manipulates zone coverages for whether it's Ewers in there or Manning. He's always making himself available. I love how he works the seam in the middle of the field. He always seems to be open in the middle of the field, working those down post routes down the seam. And his name, Gunnar Helm, is probably one of the best names in college football right now. So just a little add in there. But Gunnar Helm may be a round 3 guy that hits our dynasty rosters if he gets the landing spot that we all like. All right, round 4. All right, in 2024, last year we had 6 tight ends drafted, and Ja'Tavion Sanders, Theo Johnson, Eric All, Jared Wiley are the 4 names that I just at least wanted to throw out here for the show. In 2023, we had a big goose egg, no tight ends. All right, I have 2 that I think are going to round out my top 10. Caden Prescorn, Ole Miss tight end, 6'6", 255 pounds. He's a 5th-year prospect. First 3 years at Memphis, last 2 at Ole Miss. Not getting a lot of targets, only 203 yards and 1 tight end. But man, I'll tell you, when it comes to the tight end room, there's a lot of tight ends that hit our dynasty rosters with a lack of production, right? So it all comes down to athleticism, the testing. A lot of these players find themselves right now in tough situations. I mean, at Ole Miss, you got 2 good receivers in Wells and Harris. So maybe he's just not getting targeted enough. But if the NFL's, and when we start to scout these players on our rookie reports and you see their blocking, you see the elusiveness and the athleticism to get off blocks and to get off the line of scrimmage and what their route running looks like and their speed and agility and everything. Again, he's a round 4 prospect. Does he hit our dynasty rosters? I am not sure. But he looks like a tight end that I think is going to get early day 3 draft capital. Last guy I want to talk about is kind of like a faller, I think, for everyone. Luke Lachey, right? We love our Iowa tight end, 6'6", 247 pounds. I mean, this guy has not scored a touchdown in the last 2 years. He battled injury in 2023. He's off to a slow start with 192 yards and 0 tight ends. So I'm going to put him in here. I think there's a good chance that he comes back for a 5th year. I was expecting a lot more, and coming into the draft cycle here at the beginning of college football, I think a lot of people thought Luke Lachey was going to be an early, day 2 guy and really emerge now. We know we love those Iowa tight ends, right? So I think Penn State is the tight end U now, not Iowa, given at least recent history. So Luke Lachey may come back. I don't know, but I think he's going to be a guy that is going to have a hard time hitting our dynasty rosters, to be frank. But I wanted to at least give you my top 10 tight ends right now in the NFL draft, and in the order that I think I would be taking them off the board. And hopefully we get 3 or 4 tight ends this year, for our rookie drafts next year. All right, so this is my 1.0 version of this show. I'm going to be updating all my positions on this channel: tight end, wide receiver, running back, quarterbacks, every 3 weeks or so, and keeping you guys updated as we approach the 2025 NFL draft. It's the draft season, baby. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the show.